going to teach you how to write query. This is the next step. Now, a lot of people already know what CRUD stands for. CRUD stands for create, retrieve, update, and delete. In create, the keyword to add records into the database table is insert, and followed by the word into. And after that is the owner of the database table and the name of the table. Then followed by the bracket. Inside the bracket, you have a lot of columns. These are the column names, column age, column gender, all the column names that is inside this table. Customer. Close the bracket with the values, and this is an open bracket. In the angle bracket, this is just to tell you that the first value is name, followed by age, gender, then last is create date time. Now, as you know, create date time is not, you're not allowed to key in because it's generated by the system. So this is just to let you know the varchar is 50 character for the name, age is integer, gender is char. This is as a guide for you to complete the value part of the insert. So the way to write the query is insert into customer, bracket are the columns, values. We always put insert on one line by itself and values on another line. Then values followed by what? Other values inside. This is the simplest syntax for your understanding. We don't need to use square bracket. This is optional. So let's start with insert name, age, and gender, followed by the value. Hello. Open quotes because it's a character, string. Then followed by the age is an integer. And then we have gender, male. Open quote, one character. That's it. Once you're done, highlight this row and run it. Alright, let's go to the next one. This is called the retrieve. Retrieve, we use the keyword called select. Select the column's name. These are the column names. All are optional. Select the one that you prefer and list it out here. Now, select whatever column you want from the owner and the customer. This is optional. Let's try one example. Select ID from customer ordered by ID ASC. Now, what is ASC? ASC stands for ascending. Ascending is to return the records in ascending order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try this. Now you see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want it to be like a descending, just type DESC, not DES. You execute. Now you have that very big become very small. This is called descending. To do further condition checking, say where ID greater than maybe 5. The results for records greater than 5. For your understanding, this is just the basic query. More complicated query will be shared to you later on. If you want to select a range, you can write something like this. Select ID, name, age from customer. Put in this where ID between, let's say 1 and 5. Run it and you get 1, 2, 3, and 5. Inclusive of 1 and 5. Another way to write is where ID is greater than or equals to 1 and ID less than equals to 5. Which one do you prefer? Now this is a lot of things to type, but if we use the word in between, it's much more simplified and clearer to understand. What if you want to include 1, 3, 5, but you don't want 2? Use this keyword not equal to 2. Run it and see what it gives you. Now you only have 1, 3, and 5. Another way to do this is you can use where ID in 1, 3, and 5. Let's comment this out by using 2 dashes. And then execute. See, the same result comes back. If you want to return all the columns, use the keyword asterisk here. It represents all the columns. Let's run this and you receive all the data coming back. If you want a particular column to be at the front, just type like that. Of course, there will be some duplication when you run this. So your age is repeating twice because you put it at the front there, but that's okay. Let's say if you want to rename it to something else, just say rename it as age 2. That will work too. Age 2, you put it into quotes and run it and you get age 2. If you are a lazy person, you don't want quotes, just remove the quotes and say age 2 like that and run it and see what happens. You still get the same result. However, if you say you quote this column, what happens is it will return all as a string age. You can also run 2 queries at the same time. If I have a select here and then I have another select here, I just say press F5 and you'll see 2 windows appearing here. Sometimes you need to do comparison. This is a good thing to do. Next, select statement can also be used to back up your database table. The fast way is to write select everything into customer X from customer. A customer X table has been created. Let me run this and I will show you that 8 rows of records is there. Refresh the tables. You will see customer X here. This is another way of backing up your database table should you require extra table to do testing. Okay, we will now talk about update. In update, the syntax is you update, then followed by the owner and the table. Update the table. Set, use the word set. Set what column to the value here. And for comma, if you have more than 1 column to set, that's column 2 to the value number 2, etc. Where, this is the condition, this is very important. Without the where, all the records in your table will be updated to the same setting that you have done on top here. So be very careful when you do update. Make sure you check properly where the condition meet your requirements. Let's do an example here. If I say update customer, set name equals to hello and ID equals to 1009, run it, and yes, one row is affected. So to find out, we can say select everything from customers. And when you run this, so hello row is already there. This is how you update tables. Now, since I have created a customer X table, let's say I update customer X and set name equals to, and I fail to put in the where clause, 8 rows is affected. There's no undo. So let's run this and you will see all the names now change to hello. In order to restore back, you need to have a backup, and to use the backup to restore back the values that is all here. If you have messed up your customer X table, one way to do restoration is to get it from the original customer table. And to do that, you need to write this script here. Update customer, set name equals to, in bracket, select C that name from customer, and another name for customer is C in short, because you don't want to keep typing long names for the table. So where customer X.id, customer X, which this one X.id equals to the C.id. So meaning that this ID and this ID must match in order for you to update the name. So that is why you have a set name here. And it's a very simple 2-line, just run this, and after that, 8 rows are being affected, run the select asterisk from customer X and you get your name back. This is how you do restoration if you do make mistakes. So do backup your table before you do any changes, and never do changes on the real life table. Do always do it on the testing table. Done. Now we move on to the next one, which is the delete. Delete using the keyword is called delete. Delete where? Delete from owner table. Where, and this is the condition, and also the same as update, this condition is very important. Without the condition, you just say delete from this customer table will delete all your records and you have 0 records left. So always back up before you do anything. So let's put in the actual query. Now I want to delete 1010. So delete from customer where ID equals to 1010. So this is how you do the deletion. Always use the ID because it's unique. If you have any other columns, just say and, maybe name equals to hello. Let's say I put in 20, and what happens if it doesn't find it? Say execute, 0 record is affected. So if you use hello and you run it, 1 record is affected. Let's run this. I have 8 records here. Another short way of writing simplified, more simplified, is use delete customer X, and I say run it, F5, 8 rows are affected. Now you have already deleted all your records. Execute, run, there's nothing inside there. You cannot undo this. Now, sometimes you cannot delete the table customer X because it has a relationship, and you cannot just delete this and then say select everything into customer X again. Okay, if you want to restore back the original table, you do this: insert customer X followed by the columns that you want to populate back. Then you select the number of columns must match both on the top and the bottom. Once you've done that, select and run this, execute. Go back into your select customer and run it. 7 rows are being restored back. If you have accidentally deleted any records, try to do it this way, or if you have another way, it'll be good. You can restore it from a backup file. So in short, I have teach you how to do the create, retrieve, update and delete. Let's move on to programmability. Here we talk about store procedure. Right click, create new store procedures. Under here, it says Ctrl+Shift+M. Click on Ctrl+Shift+M, a pop-up window appears to allow you key in all the commands in one area. Now, you see author, creating and description, which is here. Author, creating and description. It follows the angle brackets. To add in your own customized command, just do like this. Okay? Alright, now when you click Ctrl+Shift+M, your new commands is available in the pop-up as well. So just type in your value, then followed by the procedure name. Normally I will type USP, stand for user stop prop. Customer, let's say customer 23. Now let's say it that way. Now the rest you can leave it. Click OK, and everything in angle bracket is replaced. Keyword for creating store procedure is create procedure followed by the procedure name. And then before the S, you key in all the variables that you have. The variables are the value you need to pass into the store procedure. Now, keyword for variable declaration is add the variable name followed by the data type. Any default value say equal to the default value, comma by another variable, followed by the S. Now, after the S is the begin block. This begin block is the area for you to key your SQL. For now, we leave it as select P1 add and add P2. Once it's done, click execute. Now this command is completed successfully. Go to the folder and refresh. Your store procedure has already created. Let's run this store procedure by typing USP customer 33. This is how you run the store procedure. Execute. Now 00 is returned because 00 has been given as a default. You didn't pass in anything. If you want to pass in some values, maybe 2 and 3, 2 and 3 is returned. Another way to call the store procedure is using execute. It will return 2 and 3. When you want to modify, click on modify. When you click on modify, the word create turns to alter. Here, it allows you to modify your store procedure. I will give it a name as column 1. Then I'll give it this name as column 2. Execute. Execute alter will update the existing store procedure. When we go in here and type customer tree again, you see the column name appear there, which is column 1 and column 2. So this is, in short, teaches you how to do basic store procedure. Next, we will talk about the functions. In the function here, right click, create new scalar value function. The rest you can read on your own. Say when you press Ctrl+Shift+M, you can fill in all the information here. If you don't want to fill in the information, you can fill in the information here also. But to do so, you need to remove all the angle bracket. So what I want to do is say Ctrl+Shift+M and say user function customer 33. Okay, click OK. The fastest way to do is using the Ctrl+Shift+M and to remove all the angle brackets. In this function, the keyword is create function, followed by the function name. Then you have the brackets. Inside these brackets, key in your parameters that you want to pass into the function. Now to create the parameter, use the @ sign, followed by the parameter name and the data type. The returns is integer. What is the value the function should return? All functions should return something. So it returns an integer. And after the returns, you put in the S. And the begin block here is where you key in your SQL query. When you return the integer, the return here must also be an integer, otherwise it will give you an error. So when you're happy with this, click execute. So one row has been completed. Go into the function here. It's a scalar value. Right click, refresh, you see UFN33 is available. Now how do you call a function? If I type UFN customer 33 and I pass in a 2 because it is expecting a parameter. And execute. Incorrect syntax near 2. What about like this? Command completed successfully, but nothing comes back. Put in a DBO, the owner of the function. And if you do like this, what happens? Still nothing. Why? Well, you want to call a function, you need to put in a select in front there. And then you need to bracket the parameters. So let's run this one more time. And you got your value 2 back. Select allows you to include functions in it. Example, if you have like other things asterisk from, remember our customer table, and you run this, what do you see? You see all the 2 come back. So you can nest your function inside a SQL query. So that's all I want to talk about function. Let's talk about triggers. In order to show you triggers, I have created a table called heats. I have added 2 columns called added and edited. And I set the value to 0. Let's see why I need added and edited. We will go in programmability, right click and create a new database trigger. This is the template trigger for database. I'm going to create a trigger for table. To do that, I need to modify certain things here. When you create a trigger, it is tied to a table. I will create a trigger called customer, trigger customer on customer. I will remove this line and say after insert and update. That is why you have these 2 columns here. After insert or updated, I'll add the count here to 1. What I want to do is update hits set added equals to added plus 1. Hits edited plus 1. Just leave it as now for both added and edited because I didn't do condition checking for whether it's adding or editing. Now when we are done with the trigger, click execute and command completed successfully. Go to the trigger folder, refresh, and your trigger is already there. Let's edit 200 rows. I will add in a record called hello row 2 and then 1 female. Done. Whenever you insert a record or edit a record, 1 gets incremented. The trigger is fired after you do an insert. View act as a single query that consists of many sub-queries. In this demo, I have created 3 continents. I will touch on continent Asia and continent Europe. In continent Asia, we have 1 to 8 records. These all belongs to Asia. In Europe, consists of many countries and 1 to 14. To combine these 2 together, use a view to do it. Right click on the view. Select new view, we'll add the table Asia first and that's it, close it. For this will be 1 country and capital city. Save it, user, view, continent. Right click on it, script table as outer to do your edit. If I highlight and run this, I get 2 different windows, but I want the query to return as one thing. To do that, you put keyword called union here. Right click, select top 1000 rows. See, it now returns as one object. Well, that's all I need to tell you about SQL. Remember to click the subscribe button. Thank you.